tonight on Al.
There is a space roach loose in our house.
You comparing me to a cockroach?
A pest from the planet Melmac could put Alf to rest.
Welcome wherever you are to Alfsplaining with me, Ben Baker.
And me, John Matthews.
And, yes, it's exciting. We've found another friend willing to be on the programme.
I can't believe it. I can't believe anybody in the world.
It's me old mucker and mucky boy, Paul Gannon. Hello, Paul.
First, I was sort of picking up on a few things. One, we were never friends. I don't know where you get that idea from at all.
I've had it tattooed.
Have you?
Yeah, it's not spelt right, but
No.
yeah, it's Paul with P-A-L-L, so it's fine.
It's fine.
Presumably, people know you are anyway, because you put yourself about a bit.
I mean, in more ways than you could possibly know.
No, I think I've got a fairly good idea.
Yeah. My name was Paul Gannon. Once upon a time, I was a comedian, then gave that up for podcasting, and now I do podcasts, and I've got a podcast called Cheap Show, and it's me and my co-host, who won't be named.
Let's call him Eli S. No, that's too obvious. E. Silverman.
No, like, fuck's sake. No.
You're not naming him.
Just call him the Tiny Man, and that'll be enough. So, yeah. We do a podcast called Cheap Show. Weekly, me and my mate, we go to charity shops and Poundland and all this stuff, and we buy weird things, and we go, doesn't that taste weird? Or, oh, isn't that a lovely thing? Or, wow, what a fun time we had doing that. Except I like to describe it as a cross between That's Life and Bottom.
Yeah, no, that is very, very spot on, really. And don't undersell it. It's a great show. I love Cheap Show. And we asked you on here because you are like us. You're a lover in delving into the. So not we say tat, but stuff like Alf is like something which really shouldn't need a deep dive into it. But when you do, it's very rewarding. And I think you get that the same with stuff you get on the show, don't you?
Yeah, because it's weird how we've gone for nearly 400 episodes. We're doing our 9th year now, and I'm still surprised there's content. I mean, I will definitely say the originality's gone years ago. Jesus, that went a while ago. And definitely the want to do it has gone. But no, overall, we're still surprised how many stories we will find just by finding a vinyl record or a board game or a book we find at a charity shop or whatever. Like, I mean, famously, the thing I'm most proud of and the thing I'm still picking at is the whole Winky documentary we did about a small badge that no one ever heard of that was, attempted to be the next big thing in America and led to the craziest story I'd ever heard.
Yeah, if people haven't heard the Winky stuff, it is absolutely fascinating.
It's lovely. It's brilliant. Yeah, I think that's the one that got me into you guys in the first place. Is having seen it float past my field of vision on somewhere, and it just really sparks your imagination just hearing about this crazy story.
And we have been friends but all right, I've been friends with you from a one-sided perspective for over 20 years now.
No, it's been cool because I keep saying, don't I? It's like we go back to the fledgling days of just finding a server to talk shit on and playing whatever we've downloaded onto our laptops. And then it's kind of just blossomed into this, I don't know, ever-changing social media quagmire of self-loathing and hate.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. And that would probably be an excellent name for Willie Tanner's autobiography if there was an in-character version of it. But this is an odd one. We've got the episode La Cucaracha to talk about today, which aired originally on May 4th, 1987. Because it's not an English word to begin with, what was it called in Germany, John?
Well, the Germans, as we know, get a little bit literal with their titles. This one in Germany was known as Der Kammerjäger und die Kekelake. That's Kekelake. Ooh. And it means the exterminator and the cockroach.
Sounds almost romantic.
It's beautiful, isn't it? It's a beautiful language.
And it got 16.4 million watched it in America on its first airing.
Is that up or down on last week?
Slightly down. Down.
Well, the funny thing, though, is like when you say 16 million, it's like today, most shows would kill for 16 million, during broadcast. And yet, you said it placed 19th in the week. And it's like, that's still a lot of people watching Alf, though, isn't it? Because I was I mean, we'll probably jump to it a bit, but I was surprised rewatching it after all these years. End of statement.
Good. And you know what? Weirdly, the 2 weeks before this aired in America, there'd just been repeats of Alf on, and it actually rated better. It got to 12 on the previous week when it was a repeat. So, maybe that's the thing. Programs shouldn't make original episodes anymore. They should just constantly do repeats.
No, just make 3 or 4 to get started, then just rinse them over and over.
I mean, it's worked for stuff like Rick and Morty, so...
Yeah, Jesus wept.
The director of this was Peter Baldwin, but sadly not the one who played Derek in Coronation Street.
Oh, wasn't it? Are you sure? Have you checked?
Although both have a wiki, which has the other one on as a disambiguation, so... and this is all just basically to avoid talking about the writer, which is Bloody Jerry Stahl again. A massive heroin addict, and wrote a book about it later on called Permanent Midnight, which was made into a film with Ben Stiller.
Because of all that, we've had high hopes for Jerry Stahl's episodes and that they're going to be kind of oddball and eccentric and weird. But so far, the only one we've seen has been absolute horse shit.
The worst so far.
Yeah, by a mile.
So, I wasn't going into this sort of enthusiasm, shall we say. But when you read the plot, a cockroach from Alf's spaceship grows into gigantic proportions, you think, hang on,
Yeah. Oh, hello. You've caught me interest there.
We do a thing sort of every week here where we basically go, would this episode work without Alf in it? Does it have any actual sci-fi point to it?
Yeah.
Or alienness to it? And I would say this one is one of the most.
It's kind of weird how they went, we're going to have this episode with a cockroach, but due to budget reasons or whatever, we're not actually going to ever show you it, bar a couple of mandibles or whatever and a foot. You think... Did someone not say we can't make this before we made it?
Well, do you know what horror's like? It's always best sort of hinted at rather than shown.
Yeah, but this was not even a hint.
No.
It was kind of like if someone in the room next door go, no, there's a cockroach in here. don't come in and wrapping presents. It's that kind of thing.
Even before the cockroach became monstrous and it was a normal cockroach, we still didn't even see it then either. So they couldn't even get a real cockroach or indeed a prop.
Do you think it was maybe something to do with, like, I don't know, censorship in America? Like, maybe you couldn't show a cockroach. There's like an anti-cockroach law or something where it's like, if you show it, you can upset the youth.
Big cockroach are very litigious. I've heard that.
But this is a weird opening because Alf's got slime balls for pudding,
Always suspected.
Yeah, as you do, and they look like slime balls. They look like the sort of thing as a kid you would have marketed at you. It's a big sort of green slimy thing.
Yeah,
it's very because Al's a considerate alien. He is. He's brought them for everyone. But amazingly, the rest of the family aren't so keen. That Lynn drops the bag, and as a roach is there, a tiny roach, a regular cockroach, if you will, just a small roach, and. We cut to the credits, obviously, because that's a big dramatic part.
Before you go any further, I have a question. Does the theme tune to Alf change? Because I remember watching bits of it as a kid, right? And I don't remember the theme tune all that much. But when I saw this episode, first time watching Alf in definitely over 30 years, I was like, oh, it sounds more like the theme tune's more like a QVC advert as you're waiting for the next hour to start. It's like one of those interstitial songs. And then the credits is like found footage horror where you just kind of see this kind of, it's like VHS 1984 all over again.
We discussed that at some point earlier in our run that, for a sitcom about an alien called Alf, the titles don't have him in it at all until the end.
No. And I thought like it would be more like a kind of Randy Newman kind of thing. I landed on a planet. That kind of thing. But no. Yeah, but it doesn't have that. And I was thinking, right, okay, do they change it then?
No, it was this crappy little sort of piece of music. It did change each season, but they didn't add lyrics or anything. It just got so faster, and they played it on a saxophone or something like that. But it's always been the same.
Yeah, written by Alf Clausen, of course, who did all the Simpsons songs until they fired him for being too old. Yeah.
Good.
But if you were trying to get rid of Alf Clausen, would you spray him with bug spray?
It can't hurt.
No, they probably got him out because the Alf Clausen had an Alf clause in it. Very good. Sorry. I'm really sorry. But if I didn't say that out loud, I would have regretted it.
No, I'm glad you did. Once again, this is why we have you on as a guest. It's just bring a little bit of gold.
Would somebody we just squash it?
Wait a minute, Kate. This thing came all the way from Melmac. It's a unique specimen.
We already have a unique specimen from Melmac.
You comparing me to a cockroach?
I'm gonna get the spray.
Answer me!
But Mom, wait! I want to take it to show and tell.
It will be just as interesting dead.
Do you have to kill it? I mean, couldn't you just, I don't know, like let it loose in the backyard?
No, here's what we should do. We should catch it. I'll build a little box. We'll put a piece of donut right in the middle. Then you guys make sure that Alf doesn't get to the donut before the roach does. Then I'll...
Never mind the box.
Willie's very excited about studying the space cockroach, but he doesn't really seem to study Alf a great deal.
No.
If he wants to study something from space, he should study Alf.
But we don't know what happens when Alf goes to sleep at night. Maybe he sneaks in with a little thermometer or something. And just, I don't know. You know what I mean? I don't know. We don't know what he does.
I mean, I don't know. We have discussed Alf's anus before, and I assume you were meaning a rectal thermometer.
I can't believe it keeps coming up so often.
I know.
It's the first question on everyone's mind.
I'm really glad you said mind and not lips, because
Well,
I don't know. I mean, Alf doesn't have lips. Probably a blessing.
Not that we can see.
Not that we can see. Not those lips, anyway. He might have certain kind of folds.
Oh, that should be the name of my first album.
But the point is, Willie goes, let's put a piece of donut down there. And almost immediately, Alf, he kind of looks at the camera and licks his lips and rubs his tummy. Like, he wants a donut, and that's all he can think about from now on.
Even though, once again, this is a plot entirely Alf's doing. Indirectly, if you will.
But thank God he didn't bring it like a kind of Melmac COVID-19 to the planet.
So basically, I mean, I'm going to explain the plot for this, but ultimately the plot is there's a big cockroach. And they keep spraying it, and it keeps getting bigger. And so it vanishes, and they're like, oh, well, fair enough. And then Alf has to gently coax Willie over to have a conversation, a sidebar conversation, if you will. But I think, because this is the last episode in production order, Max Wright is full into a breakdown. And he's like going, yes, Alf, what do you want? And he's like going, no, I can't want a private conversation. He's going, I see. It's like, what are you doing?
Yeah, all right, Alf. You can order the donuts.
I already did, but that's not why I said psst.
Oh, why did you say psst?
Just come out here.
Although, to be fair, you can understand if it takes 20-odd hours to make a single episode and it already has a complicated puppet in. When someone went, right, this week's script has a giant cockroach, you can see someone in the room going, that can fuck off right now. We're not fucking doing that. Well, stick it behind the wall. We'll use shadow play, like those Japanese theatre things. We'll do that.
It's very much, it's the tell, don't show theory of cinema, this episode, isn't it?
And it's got a lot of great gurning in this episode as well.
And what you get here is wonderful. I just love this bit. It's like they're both sort of clinging on to each other, as Alf points out the now mutated cockroach in the living room, and kind of Alf makes like a yelping noise.
Yeah, and I like it when puppets get scared in things because they suddenly look like they've got the DTs and they're just like really suffering through.
Not unreasonable. Again, you could well imagine it on that set. So,
aye.
Well, yeah. So they've had to tell the family, and so they're all off to Dorothy's, the grandmother's, and we get a potential. We get a pop culture reference here when they say, we've got an exterminator. And Kate says,
We don't need an exterminator. We need Sigourney Weaver.
Aliens had only come out the previous summer. I would say they'd been Alien, but it's like it was clearly in the consciousness enough.
Yeah. I mean, I put it down as my impenetrable pop culture, despite the fact it is a fairly penetrable pop culture reference. But that, yeah, that was it.
And when they hug at the end, have you got a little R to put in? Just a little one. It's not really earned it.
A lot of the canned laughter on stuff is the same recordings, like that. You're laughing at it's the laughs of the dead, they say, the previous 25 years ago audiences.
the whole of Alf is haunted by the laughter of the dead kind of just really sums it up quite well.
Yeah.
Haunted by the laughter of the dead, the Alf story. That's the book I shall write.
And now we're getting to what I call the top Willie moment. Willie comes in to announce he's killed the roach. He sprayed it, and Brian says, "Oh, you've killed Rodney." And Willie goes,
You named it after my brother?
which, as a take, is worthy of The Godfather. It's really like, I don't know, there's just something like properly like dramatic about it.
Also, has that character been in the episode? Have we seen his brother beforehand, or is that just a mention now?
No, but that leads us into IMDb factual errors.
Hey!
It's the best
Favorite part of the show. In this episode, Willie questions Alf when he names a cockroach after his brother Rodney. That's not true. It's Brian who does it. IMDb's factual errors has a factual error in it. But Willie's brother apparently visits later in series 2, I think, and he's called Neil.
Right.
But it says Willie makes it clear that his father only had 2 sons, so he can't have 2 different brothers. But his middle name might be Rodney, which I think is just stretching it.
Stretching it.
So, yeah, the family are going because they brought an exterminator in. And Alf's like, right, I'm off with you. And they said, no, Alf, you stay here.
Yeah, your puppeteer can't leave the house and get into the car.
Yes, exactly. And there is a line here which says, I don't know, spray, which I'm assuming will end up in a pop song very near.
Damn right.
But I mean, this is basically as rare other person. We allow one person into the world of Alf occasionally, and he's an exterminator this time from, did you see what the company was called?
Yep. Pop's Pest Control.
Beautiful. I assume it's the same Pop from the League of Gentlemen as well, so just to make it nice and I looked at him, I thought it genuinely looked like Paul Simon at first.
What, the exterminator?
Yeah.
Oh,
I put a midpoint between Keith Gordon and Michael J. Fox.
you see, I saw Dana Carvey.
Yeah, and it would have been a right era as well, sort of thing. It's actually Douglas Warhit.
That would have been my second guess, to be fair.
Which, ironically, I don't ever think he was in a hit war film, which is ironic. But
shame.
But he has some impressive films on his CV. Not impressive roles so much, but he's in Beverly Hills Cop.
Oh,
As bonded warehouse clerk too.
good stuff.
He's in Look Who's Talking.
Oh,
As male client.
oh, I remember that scene vividly. No, he stands out there.
And he's in Christine as Bemis.
Right.
Oh, okay.
Apparently, he's now an acting instructor, a licensed psychotherapist, and a life coach in Los Angeles. He's written 3 books about acting, which, again, we've established he's not really done that much.
No, I don't want to be told how to act. I don't want to be explained the Stanislavski method by male clients from Look Who's Talking.
And then, weirdly, we get this scene which is Willie's realised via Alf that the spray's making the cockroach bigger, and so he's obviously don't use that spray.
Want my shoes too, so I don't step on it?
I was hoping you might be able to suggest some more scientific way to kill it.
Oh, I'm sorry. I left my heat-seeking missile in the car.
Oh, now you're making fun of me.
Yes, I am.
And it's quite combative, this scene. There's not that many jokes here. And it turns out we've found out, there's a lot of bits cut for syndication that aren't on the DVDs, and pretty much all the arguing is gone from the syndicated version. So the bloke just turns up and he's like, can you not use that? And he goes, oh, okay.
Can you imagine that? Don't leave that bit in. That's the good bit, that one. Don't take that out.
Yeah. So the bloke has a bit of an argument, eventually hands over his spray. He goes in, he screams, he pegs it. And then Willie goes in, he screams. He comes back in.
How big did it get?
Well, that depends. Do you measure the shoulder or the head?
And we get this like drama sting, and there's a few of these in.
Yeah, it suddenly comes in now. I wrote down it's like Jaws being played in a flugelhorn.
It feels like when they were scoring the sitcom, they needed upbeat and silly. All right, cool. We need touching and sad. Yeah. We got that. We need something wacky. Yeah, a little bit of a music there. And then someone turned around and went, right, we've got this scene with a killer cockroach. You go, I've got nothing. We'll use something that sounds like, I don't know, like someone's just having a bit of a glum moment from a previous scene. We'll just use that little bit where little Jimmy had an asthma attack. Use that bit of music.
It's a very obvious piece of music, and that is the exact thing you don't want from background music. It's obvious. But I thought, as the episode went on, it kind of settled in. It felt quite eerie, but at the end, I quite liked it.
Yeah. I mean, I've written down it. I think they're going for an Alien style Jerry Goldsmith kind of thing. So from this point, it's just Alpha Willie teaming up to get this cockroach, and obviously they go to the shed because this is the best place for Alpha Willie to have conversations. This is where they do their best work.
Do you think this was basically where they got the inspiration for the film Men in Black from?
Yes, I'm going to say yes. I'm not even going to question it. I'm saying yes.
You got a cockroach on the loose, just like Men in Black, and Alpha's Will Smith,
yeah,
and Tommy Lee Jones is Willie, and that's all I've got.
I'm sold.
It's good enough for Hollywood.
Well, if it's good enough for Hollywood, it's good enough for me.
Good old Jerry Starlin. Cheers to his heroin.
It's a delicious heroin. Why not try it today?
Delicious heroin.
Are we sponsored? Oh, yeah. No? Okay, just checking. But really,
Pops heroin.
Really, the only reason for them being in the shed is
to bring in Trevor.
Trevor. It's lovely. I did not expect Trevor at Monarch. So, for you, Paul, basically, he has become beloved of us, but he's not used very often. He's the wacky next door neighbour. And, you know, even if you hadn't seen Alf before, you looked at him for a second, didn't you, and go, yep, I get your character, 100%.
Well, I was thinking, when he came in, my brain was like, who is he reminding me of? This is really doing my head in. And then I thought, oh, he's the next door neighbour in Aqua Teen Hunger Force.
He's Carl, yeah.
Yeah, he's Carl.
Carl, did you do something behind the couch?
Yeah, I did. I lost peace and quiet. What do you need? What do you want? Can I not just live here without having to occasionally deal with you animals?
It's like a PG-rated Carl.
Yeah. So Trevor talks about he's found the exterminator's tank outside as he fled. So he's brought it back for them. And he talks about back in Korea.
Yeah, now we're fleshing out Trevor's backstory here with tales of him in the war in 33 years previously. I don't know.
When he was in the war, they could use that. They could have that.
Yeah.
And yeah, he seems to have an idea about chemical warfare. Like, was he using that Agent Orange, whatever it was?
Yeah, this is a huge part. Like, so he says
they showed us a movie about it. David Niven was brilliant.
This is a section I call would have been the most impenetrable pop culture reference of the week if I could work out exactly what it was.
I've racked my brains. I've racked the internet.
I looked into it. It could be 1944's The Way Ahead, as scenes in North Africa. Or it could be 1939's The Real Glory, which has a small American contingent basically defend themselves against fanatical Muslim radicals in 1906, the Philippines. So
I enjoyed Trevor's knowledge about cockroaches because he's a bit of a schlub, but he seems to know an awful lot about cockroaches, and I kind of enjoyed it. It's like Homer Simpson has a great deal of knowledge about something out of nowhere. It's just funny.
Yeah.
It's just funny.
Yeah.
Or maybe he had like a kind of a USS Indianapolis kind of situation once in his life, and now it haunts him. This was like his big speech from Jaws.
Very possible. I imagine him just doing it constantly, though, like no context.
Yeah, in the dark on his own, lit by a single candle.
He's not an happy man, so
we've learned that.
Yeah.
So he came round with this exterminator. He said, "But don't worry, the exterminator didn't spray your house, so I've done it for you. Real good, no chance."
Nice.
It's like perfect over egging of an line. And so obviously Willie has a big freak out in classic Willie style. Big Willie style, if you will. And we're back to the Alien style music cue. A Willie who I don't know if it's deliberate or not, but takes at least a minute to put a jacket on.
No, is that a bit?
That's a bit.
Know.
I can't tell.
I kind of feel that was a bit. Because I think otherwise he would have been standing there just staring at a puppet for 5 minutes during dialogue. And he was like, I've got to do something. Because otherwise I'm going to pull that puppet's head off.
This is fair because we do have a section called Willie's Wardrobe where we bask in the glory of Willie Tanner's clothing. And in this one, he does appear to be dressed as Ned Flanders for most of it. He has a green rugby shirt on and chinos.
Do you know what? The only thing I noticed about his Willie's Wardrobe this week is how he colour coordinated his mug to his turquoise shirt right at the start of the episode.
He has fantastic creases in his trousers, though, I will say that.
He's that kind of guy, isn't he?
Yeah.
He's a method actor. Method trousers. So Willie is going away naturally for boric acid. It's just standard sitcom trope. We know. Let's just move past it. Oh, boric acid.
Yeah, remember that episode of Friends, the one with the boric acid? That's good, that one.
Alf is upset. He wants to go with him, but obviously can't because he's an Alf. And he says he feels like
the pretty little virgin. The what? You know, the apple-cheeked maiden that the cowardly townspeople feed to the dragon. Don't you read fairy tales?
But then, in the next move, Alf wants a hug. And it's played very serious because he's worried. And the audience go, oh. And again, what we've noticed with Alf is that they undercut those moments quite a lot. They'll like do something emotional, but then Alf will make a joke or burp or something. You know?
Or say something anti-Semitic, just out of context for a laugh, just to see what the reaction will be. Yeah.
Right at the end of that hugging scene, as it were.
Sorry. I want as into it as you, clearly.
I loved a bit of the hugging. He says at the end,
now tell me you love me.
And Max Wright laughs. It's not Willie laughing. Max Wright breaks character and laughs at that joke. I think it's a spontaneous Paul Fusco gag.
Was there a lot of that on set then, do you think? There was a little bit of improvisation or not?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm not sure that Jerry Stahl would have written the hug into this script, if you know what I mean. Like, I wonder if that was a addition on the set.
Yeah, because the original line was Alf saying, hey, while you're down there. We'd all want to see it. Was there ever any Alf porn?
Please don't.
Hang on. I'm not the internet here.
Of course you do, and it'll exist because of course it'll exist.
I'm just going to, without any further context, I'm just going to say, yeah, there is, and then we're going to move on, and I'm very sorry.
Well, if I'm doing that, it's a Patreon thing only. I'm being paid for seeing that.
Yeah.
So Alf says, the only thing we have to fear is fear itself. Do you know who said that?
No.
It was Alf, obviously, just then in that episode.
Oh, I heard him, yeah.
Yeah, but before that, it's Roosevelt at his inauguration in Washington in 1933. And then we see the shadow of the cockroach, followed by, what's that bit at the top? Is not a mandible. What is it, the thing at the top of it?
Oh, I don't know.
Antenna, yeah.
Yes,
as it goes into the kitchen. We're seeing very little bits of it, and an arm peeps into the kitchen, but he doesn't come in. He's like, no, that's all you're getting.
That's all we can afford.
Yeah.
It leans through and knocks a bit of stuff off, just because it's a bastard.
Yeah, it does. He just like
does it for no reason.
Yeah, it's in that kind of way, like, oh, nice house you got here. Shame if something broke. You know, it'd be an awful shame if this vase went over, wouldn't it?
I mean, it basically behaves like a cat. It just took something on a table and knocked it off.
Yeah.
And it doesn't make Alf hungry, which is, but Alf is getting his comeuppance because it's acting like a cat, but he can't eat it.
Yeah. Where was there an episode where a giant cat tries to eat Alf?
I think of Kitten Kong. And then Alf says, be afraid. Be very afraid, and that is, of course, from.
Don't tell me. Rod Hall's Pink Windmill.
Pink in what?
Pig Windmill. Rod Hall's Pig Windmill.
It's not the answer. I've got the card. I'm afraid.
Oh, is it close?
Was it the Moomins?
I wouldn't mind if ITV had done the animated adventures of The Fly. You couldn't get Jeff Goldblum, obviously. You had to get, Maurice LaMarche, but still. And now we've turned it a full horror film. Alf holds up in the bedroom and tries to get help via the phone. Doesn't work, obviously, because he says he's got a giant cockroach there. Ovs, cockroach breaks in, and Alf says, I've got a
357. I think it's the gun. It's a Magnum, isn't it? It's like what Dirty Harry has.
And it's like, can you imagine Alf with a gun?
Yes.
It just feel hideous.
Just let me pitch this. Alf, but with the plot of falling down. I'm just going to leave that there and just say, as a pitch, as an elevator pitch.
I'm trying to work out if he's more or less racist.
Oh, I'd make it purposely more. That's the only way you can go forward with this idea. Make Alf one of the most hateful people in the world and see him go on a solo gun rage.
I hope his number plate would be "I eat cats."
Yeah. So it seems Alf is allowed to be racist. I mean, not that he's been very racist, but he's occasionally allowed to make off-color references and also dress up as Stevie Wonder. And it's kind of fine when Alf does it, and people still love him,
But you know what's not fine? IMDb factual errors, because we have a second one in this episode. And do you know where it is?
No.
So Alf goes into the bathroom, starts looking in the toilet, and he says,
"No one's ever told me where these things lead."
And of course, in the pilot episode, Alf takes great interest in the flushing of the toilet. We have already seen him, so where's Alf shitting?
My personal theory is that he doesn't. I think whatever it is just regurgitated like cat hair, and he coughs it up into a little bag, and he just puts that bag in a bin or something.
It doesn't emit slime balls, does he?
No, because then it'd be cannibalism, because you're basically eating bits of yourself, aren't you? I think it's more likely that those slime balls just come from, the crevices of a homeland creature back on his planet. Like some kind of space elephant. You can get a little broom out, into a fold, and you can just pluck them like grapes from the side, collect them in a bag, sell them in your shop.
That does Alf grapes. Why were they a thing on the market in 1987?
Metal Mickey got bloody Atomic Thunderbolt sweets. Why didn't Alf get, I don't know, Alf balls or something? It was just whatever.
I think they should have done the official Alf 357 Smith & Wesson, for the kids. They love it. They love a bit of gun violence.
I think they should make shotguns, right? But on the end of the shotgun is just a picture of Alf's head. And so the last thing you see before you die is Alf's face staring at you.
I'd be delighted by that. I would be.
What a gimmick. What a gimmick.
What a life. So we are now in a full horror territory sort of thing. Like we're starting to see from the cockroach's POV now.
Yeah,
he's already knocked through the door like The Shining. And basically Alf's gagging to the end. In all ways, he basically uses some perfume, and then it fades to black, and then it comes back in to the living room, and Willie comes in his sport coat, and obviously he's stocked up on all the boric acid he could get at the boric acid store, 24-hour store that's always open.
Cash and boric acid.
And he comes back to find Alf happily sat watching the telly, and the sort of legs of the roach behind the sofa.
Brilliant visual gag. I hooted with laughter when I saw it.
It is, until you think of Alf dragging it down from the bathroom.
Yeah, why didn't you just leave it in the bathroom? At least there you could have chopped it up in the bath and flushed it or whatever.
Well, no, because Alf wants to stuff it and mount it. So,
Now he's got to put tarpaulin down. When he empties that thing out, there's going to be a lot of offal. He's going to need to, where's he going to put the straw? It's going to be all over the carpet. You should have left it in the bathroom.
This is fair.
If there's one thing I've realised about Alf is that he doesn't see things through. He doesn't think ahead.
Oh, no.
We've said he has a thing most weeks. He's obsessed with a thing in one week, and then he moves on to something else.
Alf! What did you do?
Nothing much. Watched a little TV. Killed the bug.
How did you kill it?
Cheap cologne.
That's perfume. I bought that for Kate on her last birthday.
You had roach problems then, too?
How did you know to use this?
Well, I analyzed the list of ingredients. And based on what I know about the physiology of Melmacian cockroaches...
Alf.
I lucked out.
The family return having dumped the body. That's not a thing that happens in sitcoms.
No, not a lot.
Traditionally.
They could have just buried it in the garden. They buried Trevor buried a side of beef in the garden the other week.
And Alf dug it up, so there's still a hole.
Yeah.
So, yeah, continuity. Come on. But this is the last recorded one of the series, as far as I can guess, from the production code. So this is kind of like the end of... It's not the last episode of the series as it airs, but it's very much you can see everyone going, like, we don't have to do this for another 2 months.
Yeah, like crawling to the finish line.
Yeah.
So Alf's spaceship is kind of out of sequence in this as well, because he says he's been cleaning it out, but was it last week or the week before he rented it out to some Hollywood producer, and then a few weeks ago he'd gutted it for parts to buy a Ferrari? I mean, I don't really understand where his spaceship is or what state it's currently in at the moment, and this is the kind of continuity that bothers me.
So they finally come back and say, you've sprayed everything with perfume now, because we don't want any more. And Alf gives a terrible line here, the worst thing I think Alf's actually said. Which is impressive because he did ask the teenage girl if she had a mustache several weeks ago.
You sprayed everything with perfume just in case.
Well, everything but my gym bag. I don't want to get funny looks if I ever go back to my health club.
Come on,
Alf. You could at least done the old granddad gag and said, "Oh, the whole house smells like a tartan bag." That kind of thing.
Yeah.
Done a bit more genial.
Yeah. Despite the fact I can't imagine him ever having gone to a health club.
At best, he just sits in the corner and eats crisps and just watches the yoga class.
God, he does, doesn't he?
Does he?
He must. He must. That is it. That is it. Paul, what do you think Alf smells like?
Honestly, he probably... I think he smells like dog. I don't know how else to say it. I just think he smells like a big dog.
That's a common theory.
I presume he doesn't smell too bad. Otherwise, they just force him to live in the shed all the time.
That's a good point.
Well, so we are left with a final... I'm going to say gag. It's not really a gag. It's more the sort of thing you do at the end of a horror film to suggest there'd be a sequel. There's a Venus flytrap.
From Venus.
And they go, oh, it's a Venus flytrap. And then it turns out he's probably going to eat everybody, etc. Lol, the end. We found a lot of episodes of Alf just end. It does have a tag at least.
I reckon the writer goes, and that's the plot done. And then the director goes, well, we still have 2 pages we need to film. You mean I've got to do a B-side?
Yeah.
I've only written 1 song. It's that kind of logic.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we do see scenes and we often think, do you think they just left that in? It was like, didn't notice. There are things you're just like, you wouldn't leave that in.
We left a microphone in Paul Fusco's office and we just record random stuff he says to himself at night. And I thought what we could do is dub it over the puppet and just have that be some kind of little scene we could dig in.
So that leaves us to our MVP of the episode. And I'm just going for Trevor. He just delights. He's in for a couple of minutes. He does the business. He's out. I
agree. You can't have a best character if Trevor's in it because it's always Trevor. Unless it's like one of these 90-second guest stars like that Exterminator was earlier. But he wasn't very good. So
no, he's rubbish. Oh, yeah.
The thing is, maybe if there's a Trevor in an episode, by default, you can't have a Trevor in an episode from this point on. You've just got to rank the second best.
Yeah.
Yes, I agree. Did you have a favourite character?
No. I mean, I will say this. When I watched it back today, I was like, whoa, was this a kid's show? Like a kind of, out of this world kind of slot type sitcom. But no, it ran prime time, 4 seasons, movie animated series. It's like, oh, okay. So it was quote unquote legit, but it had the feeling of like a kind of just like a CBeebies kind of sitcom.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yes.
The tone is all over the spot. Yeah,
it is, isn't it? It's fascinating. I tell you what, it's made me keen to see more Alf, and by keen I mean half interested. If I've got nothing else to do.
When you say more Alf, do you mean his anus?
Yes, yes, of course I want more Alf. Anal Alf. Anal Alf.
This episode. I don't want any more episodes. I'm done. We're done now.
Alf.
It's done.
Anal life.
Internet, etc. I'm making terrible
anal
people.
life force. Anal life force. There we go. That's what I'm saying. It's the last thing I'm going to say in your podcast. Anal life force.
Beautiful.
Goodbye.
Cheerio.
Anal life force.
Ah, yeah, cockroaches. Blatella germanica, our little prehistoric friend.